just your all-knowing. And as you're looking down now, what do you imagine that you see there? Do you have any feet there? I want you to look down at the ground around you and tell me what you imagine that you're stood on. What kind of ground are you stood on? Are you in a house or a field or a beach? Where do you imagine that you would be?
I think I'm in a house.
You're in a house. Very good. And as you look down at your feet now, tell me, are you wearing anything on those feet?
They're like golden slippers.
Golden slippers. Beautiful. And as you look down at those feet, you'll just have a knowing of how old you feel. And you'll see some numbers come to mind. How old do you feel that you're there?
About 21.
You're about 21. And are you male or female? Just connect with your energy.
Female.
You're female. If you're 21 years old, you'll be able to know what people call you in that life. Just hear your name being called. And what's your first impression?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Well, good afternoon, Elizabeth. Thank you for coming forward and working with me today. Elizabeth, what I want you to do is I want you to look to the left and the right of this house and describe to me, what do you imagine is around you?
Long corridors.
Long corridors.
It's quite grand.
And it's grand. Do you feel that you're on your own, or do you feel that there's other people in the house?
I feel like there's staff or workers, different people around. I can't see anyone.
Doesn't matter, you just sense and you just know.
It's like a big house.
It's a big house, yeah?
Like a kind of castle type.
A
It's
castle.
grand.
A castle type house?
Yeah.
Well, I want you to put one foot in front of the other, and I want you to be able to walk around this building and go down those corridors and tell me, do you live with anybody in that place?
I think my parents.
Your parents. Well, let's go and find your parents. So as I continue to talk to you, I want you to put one foot in front of the other, making your way around these corridors until you find the room where your parents are. And describe this room to me. Where are they?
They're on the throne.
They're on the throne. And take a look at your mother. How is she dressed?
She's a queen. She looks like she's in some sort of Tudory gown.
A Tudor gown. What colour is that gown?
It's got patterns. Just pretty. Lace on the ends of the arms.
A pretty pattern with lace on the end of the arms.
Very big skirt.
A big skirt. And tell me, do you know what year it is? Just See those numbers come to mind. What year is it there?
I've got they were 1800s.
And take a look at your mother now. What colour hair does she have?
Can't quite see her face.
I want you to step forward so that you can see your mother, and I want you to connect with her eyes, because the eyes are the windows to the soul. What colour eyes does she have there?
Brown.
Brown. Well, I want you to look deep now within those eyes and telepathically communicate mind to mind and soul to soul. And tell me, that mother that you see there, does she remind you of anybody today? Just your first impression. Who is she?
My Auntie Sarah.
She's your Auntie Sarah. And what about your father? Take a look at your father. How do you feel about your father?
He's a king.
Mm-hmm.
He seems quite cold, disinterested.
Cold and disinterested.
He's interested in other things around him.
So look into his eyes now, Elizabeth. Spiritually connect with his soul. Mind to mind, soul to soul, and tell me, does he remind you of anybody today?
No, they just seem blue
Blue.
and not sure.
Okay. Tell me, Elizabeth, do you have any other members of the family? Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I want to say that this dad reminds me of my Uncle James, but I'm kind of fighting it because I think it sounds odd, but he does.
Just allow that to come. And tell me, Elizabeth, do you have any brothers or sisters in that life? You'll just have a knowing whether you have.
I think I've got a few brothers and sisters.
And how do you get on with those brothers and sisters?
I think there's lots of them, different mums, and I think my dad has his queen, but has other partners that have children too, but we're all treated nicely, just not very given much attention from him.
Okay.
But our mum loves us. We don't really interact much with my dad.
Your mum loves you.
We've got, I think, like maids or helpers, staff.
Maids and helpers. So what is it that you do, Elizabeth, in that place?
I think I read and I write
You read and you write. What kind of things do you write?
poems.
Poems. How interesting. Well, what I want to do now is I want to close that scene, Elizabeth, and I want us to go forward in that life, in the same life, to another significant time when something is happening. So when you're ready, just close that scene and allow your mind to drift and wander, floating and drifting forward in the same timeline. I want you to go to a significant time in your life when something important is happening, and I'm going to count from 3 to 1 and you'll be there. So when you're ready, 3, 2 and 1. How old do you feel now, Elizabeth?
Probably about 26, 27.
Well, look around your landscape and tell me, are you inside or are you outside?
Inside.
You're inside. And as you look around, you'll be able to describe to me what's happening there.
I'm crying.
You're crying. I want you to connect with that feeling and find out what it is that you're crying about, Elizabeth. What's made you so sad?
I've got, they're like ladies with me.
Yeah?
Friends. I've found out, I think my husband has been with one of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm heartbroken, and I think my husband is with another woman.
Okay. So, what I want you to do is I want you to see the image of your husband in front of you and describe him to me. What colour hair does he have? Is he tall?
He's tall.
He's tall. What do they call him in that life there, Elizabeth? What's his name?
Arthur.
Arthur. Mm-hmm. And as you look at Arthur, I want you to connect with those eyes of Arthur's.
I don't like them.
You don't like his eyes?
They're cold. I get a horrible feeling.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about his energy. How does he make you feel?
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
Uncomfortable.
Betrayed and uncomfortable.
Hurt.
And as you look into his eyes now, I want you to look past those eyes and connect with his soul and tell me, does he remind you of anybody in your life today?
Yeah.
Who is he? Okay. Thank you. So tell me, Elizabeth, how do you manage this situation there? Because you're married to this man. What happens?
I think I'm a princess.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to marry him, but we were happy. I think he can get away with it, even though my dad's the king. He doesn't do anything. I feel he should be punished, but he's allowed to get away with it.
So it's accepted that his
okay.
behaviour's accepted, even though you want to punish him.
I think men were allowed to do that, have other ladies, or not be loyal.
Well, tell me, what has it done to your body there? Look in your heart. What has it done to you?
I feel empty.
You feel empty. Tell me, Elizabeth, do you have any children in that life with this man? No.
You wanted children. I wanted children.
You wanted children? Did you have any children at all in that life?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But not with him.
But not with him.
I think we separate.
You separate? Mm-hmm. Describe the woman that has betrayed you with your husband. Is it one or is it more?
I think there's one significant one, but there's also more.
Okay.
I don't think I knew them, I just think I knew it was happening.
You knew it was happening. So what I want you to do now is I want you, as you listen to my voice, to go forward to that time when you're with this other partner. So as I continue to talk to you, I want you to drift and float towards that scene when you're with this partner and be there now. And describe to me, are you inside or outside with this man?
Outside.
You're outside. What's his name?
I think it's Francis.
Mm-hmm. And describe Francis to me. What's his trade and what does he do?
He's clever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, look at Francis there and connect with his soul. Look into his eyes and tell me, does he remind you of somebody today? Who is he?
I don't know.
He's not here today. And tell me, Elizabeth, how old are your children?
I think we've got a two-year-old daughter.
A 2-year-old daughter
And I'm holding a baby.
and a baby. What did you call your daughter there?
I think it was Sophia.
Sophia. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling the energy of Sophia. Who does she remind you of today?
Sophie.
Sophie. Mm-hmm. And what about this baby that you've got in your arms? Is it a little boy or a girl?
Girl.
A girl. Mm-hmm. And what's her name?
Grace.
Grace. Mm-hmm. And as you hold Grace and you can feel her energy, who does she remind you of?
I don't know.
What I want to do now is I want us to close that scene so that we can go to the last day of that life, and we're just going to see it remotely, detached, so that we can evaluate that life just to see what you've achieved and where you've been and what you feel that you've done. So when you're ready, just close that scene now and follow that timeline now, drifting and floating forward, drifting and floating forward to the last day of that contract, that life that you had there. And describe where you are to me.
I'm in bed.
You're in bed. Mm-hmm. Are you alone?
My daughters are around me.
Your daughters are there. Mm-hmm. And how old do you feel there, Elizabeth?
About 60.
You're about 60 years old. So tell me, are you ill or dying of old age?
Just old age.
Old age. Mm-hmm. So now what I want you to do is, so that we can go on to our next step, I want you to take a nice deep breath in, and as you breathe in, I want you to step your soul out of that body there, and you can see this remotely. Feel yourself stepping out of that body and just raising yourself up about 3 foot above the body, so that we can evaluate that life. How do you feel that life went for you there, Elizabeth? Did you all do all that you contracted to do?
I had a good life, a good family, a good husband.
Good life, family and husband.
I felt betrayed by my partner who I wanted to have a life with,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt ignored by my dad.
You felt betrayed and by your partner and ignored by your dad.
But loved by the rest of my family
Mm-hmm.
and my mum.
Well, what I want you to do is I want you to connect with the energy of your father, and I want you to connect with his soul energy and find out why your father had that disconnection with you. Was it because he chose not to love you, or was it something else?
Because I was a girl.
Because you were a girl. So he wanted a boy.
Yeah.
I see. Can you forgive him for that, Sarah? Elizabeth?
I'm disappointed.
You're disappointed. Okay. Well, now that we're out of the body, tell me, how do you feel now you're out of the body?
I feel peaceful.
You feel peaceful. Well, it's normal at this time that someone or something comes to collect you, to take you back home. And as I continue to talk to you, I want you to look around and see that something or someone coming closer and closer with the sound of my voice until you see something in front of you, and I want you to describe that to me. What do you see, Elizabeth?
My grandma.
Your grandma. Very good.